Hey everyone, so I wanted to answer this question. Somebody asked me because I'm back to TT now. So what's wrong with me? So I have a lot of health conditions, but remember this is me and my story. So everyone might have similar conditions or complications, but everyone's story is completely different. I'm Ruth. I want to answer this question here. So what conditions do I have health-wise? So I'll talk about them all a bit briefly, and then if you want more details, let me know in a comment below and I'll answer a question on them in more detail. So I have a number of health conditions. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic connective tissue disorder, and then I also have POTS, post-ulcerative tachycardia syndrome, and I have mast cell activation syndrome. And from all of that, I then have had a lot of secondary complications. So my EDS has affected me internally a lot. So I have gastroparesis, which then led to intestinal dysmotility and intestinal failure. I have Fowler syndrome and neurogenic bladder, and that led to full bladder failure. I also have Addison's disease, primary Addison's disease, which means I'm on steroids for life. I also had a head injury back, it was over 10 years ago now, which contributed to a lot of things as well. I have osteoporosis in my hips and spine due to malnutrition, constant steroids, and also my EDS itself. And I also have problems with my immune system and autoimmune disease. So my things like a simple cold and cough can make me extremely poorly. I've had sepsis multiple times, so we have to be extremely careful. I've been in intensive care multiple times over the years. Unfortunately, due to my conditions and complications, I also have a superbug in my system, which is worse than MRSA. So it means that I also have to be isolated, and a simple infection with a superbug in it means my list of antibiotics goes from like this to literally just a few, and they're rare ones, they're not common antibiotics. Once they're used and gone, they're gone. My conditions, mainly the biggest ones, are the ones that affect my bowel and bladder, so my intestinal failure, my bladder failure, and my infections, my immune system and my heart. So I'm reliant on my Hickman line here, which is a line that sits in my chest, goes into my heart here, just above the supraspinatus cava, and it gives me nutrition, total parenteral nutrition, TPN, gives me fluids and certain medications. And then I have a jejunostomy here, which is broken at the minute, but this is a jej in my small bowel, which means I have medications through it. And then I have my PEG, which is just for drainage, and then my catheter, which is in my bladder. And for me, these conditions, complications, have led to numerous infections, sepsis. I've been in a coma 4 times, respiratory acidosis, and and for me personally, all these conditions, complications have led my conditions and my health to be life-limiting. EDS itself is not life-limiting. The vascular type can be, but my type of EDS, the hypermobility type, is not life-limiting or like terminal in that sense. But for me, it's caused certain conditions and complications which have meant it to go down that route now, because I'm reliant on this line for medications, treatments, fluids, nutrition, and without it, I'm losing access points, basically. You only have so many points. I've had over 15 PICC lines in my arms, and then I've had 5 Hickman lines and neck lines and femoral lines in my groin, and I'm running out of space. And when I can't get my fluid in through here, I have no way of getting it in. I could drink it, but I'll just vomit it back up, and it doesn't absorb either. And so basically, I've only got this line is my lifeline, and without it, I wouldn't survive. So there's that side of it. And the TPN keeps me alive, but it also slowly damages my liver and other problems internally, which you can't see, which are going on. My risk of constant infections and sepsis, they said, the next one, Ruth, could be your last. And the superbug, it was always bad, but the superbug then made it 10 times worse. So all of that combined, I am now under more palliative care management, and I have respect for them in place and about what treatment escalation do I want and for my best and my quality of life. Like, I was talked about having a urostomy, which I did do another video on, but that's something we're not going to do because I probably won't survive the surgery. Because of my gastroparesis and intestinal failure, they have to use part of my bowel, and that will be very difficult because of my intestinal failure problems. And also, it's not guaranteed that it would help my pain or infections, and I get a lot of infections from my bowel, and so I would very likely just keep getting more infections and more sepsis. And my quality of life is the top priority, and actually sometimes it's saying, this surgery isn't always the best way forward for you in your situation. It might be for others, but not for me because of my other complications. Simple surgeries have to have intensive care involved, have to have a lot of planning. So a major surgery like that, it's something that they don't think I would even survive right now. So yeah. And I survived I survived a cardiac arrest and respiratory arrest, but cardiac arrest when I was 24. And I'm a miracle, really. I shouldn't really be alive. My body is slowly getting worse, but we're just doing what we can. And now we've got palliative care involved. It's about symptom management with my pain, my sickness, keeping me at home as long as possible, and focusing on what really matters in my life. And also, if I get to a point where actually I don't want to continue treatment, or I don't want to be suffering, you know, it's important about the management of suffering. So quality of life versus your suffering. And yes, some people, you can be on TPN and live for 10, 20 years, you know, plus, and not everyone on TPN will be life limited like me. But I, as I said, have a lot of conditions and complications, which I've only just touched the surface with all of this, which make it life limiting for me. And that's something my team are aware of. Like, you don't get referred to palliative care and your local hospice if you don't need it. And there's a lot of funding issues, unfortunately, but my team and GP and everyone is on side. And I'm really grateful that the team really care in that sense and want what's best for me. But yeah, my conditions are my EDS, which has then caused all these conditions and complications, which have then caused even more complications. And again, because of my Addison's, without fluids, I go into acute kidney injury very quickly. My bloods go off. Like, I get sick very, very quickly. And I only have a few more access points left. So once they're gone, they're gone. That's why I protect your veins at all costs, because, yeah, they are very precious. I hope that explains a bit more detail. And do you know what, years ago I used to think, oh, people won't believe me, or they think you look too well, Ruth, you don't look sick enough, you can't be under this, you can't be under that. I'm like, do you know what, I don't have the time. I don't really care. They can just waddle off. If you don't believe me, you can just waddle off into the sunset. And I'm just carrying on here, live my life, doing what I love. There are people that bring me up, bring me joy, because life is too short. Literally, it's too short for me. I'm not going to waste time on people that don't care, that don't believe me or understand. You could be under palliative care and have curly, cute hair. You could be under palliative care and be sassy and talkative and quirky and me. You can look well but be suffering in absolute agonising pain. You can both be visibly ill, or you can be look fine and still be visibly very poorly as well, you know. And I'm just here to share my story, raise awareness of my conditions, and show that you can still live life whilst also planning for a very difficult future ahead. And this is me, this is my story. Any questions, just let me know. I hope that explains it in more detail though. Mwah.